There you are in the great wide open when you hear it. Dinner time. When you're hungry, you're not going to let 5,000 feet of mountain get in your way. And if they try, that's what Kia's lineup of exceptionally capable SUVs with available all-wheel drive is for. The Telluride, Sorento, Sportage, and Seltos are how you know we take this pretty seriously. The SUVs and the dinner. Hurry into your local Kia dealer today. Kia, movement that inspires.
Visit kia.com for details. Always drive safely.
The General Insurance presents Shower Ballads by Shaq.
And I'm gonna keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I wanna do.
Turns out, everyone does sound better in the shower. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
I just wanna keep on loving you.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with the General.
The General Auto Insurance Services, Inc., an insurance agency, Nashville, Tennessee. Some restrictions apply.
School is back and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Score best-in-class deals for your whole crew like $6.99 tees and $21.99 denim from Arizona Jean Company. Spice up your new space with Cook's Kitchen Essentials starting at $19.99. Hurry in store while they last, or buy online now, pick up curbside later. Shopping is back, and the savings are too. JCPenney. Doorbusters valid on select styles through 8/3. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details. Do it!
The General Insurance presents Shower Ballads by Shaq.
And I'm gonna keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I wanna do.
Turns out, everyone does sound better in the shower. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
I just wanna keep on loving you.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with the General.
The General Auto Insurance Services, Inc., an insurance agency, Nashville, Tennessee. Some restrictions apply.
There you are in the great wide open when you hear it. Dinner time. When you're hungry, you're not going to let 5,000 feet of mountain get in your way. And if they try, that's what Kia's lineup of exceptionally capable SUVs with available all-wheel drive is for. The Telluride, Sorento, Sportage, and Seltos are how you know we take this pretty seriously. The SUVs and the dinner. Hurry into your local Kia dealer today. Kia, movement that inspires.
Visit kia.com for details. Always drive safely.
The General Insurance presents Shower Ballads by Shaq.
And I'm gonna keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I wanna do.
Turns out, everyone does sound better in the shower. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
I just wanna keep on loving you.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with the General.
The General Auto Insurance Services, Inc., an insurance agency, Nashville, Tennessee. Some restrictions apply.
And this is Hempire. Thank you again for joining us. Once again, I'm Pete Bahrenburg. I'm here with Nick DiFrancesco, and we're about to talk something pretty special and prominent in the industry of cannabis. Would you say there, Nick?
I do. So what do we got on?
We have the great and powerful Jen Bernstein.
I love it. And again, that's why I was excited to do this today. We got a lot to talk about with Jen. Let's just dive right into it. Obviously, you led the direction of High Times for over a decade. You handled the meetings. You brought a lot of great editorials. You ran the whole show. But the most important thing that, I thought that was kind of cool, what most people probably have dreamed of, is, of course, you were the judge for the High Times Cannabis Cup, the High Times Medical Cannabis Cups, basically what Playboy is to adult entertainment. If anyone doesn't know, High Times has actually been around since 1974. So it has a lot of, it's got a lot of nostalgia, of course. It's got a lot of lineage in cannabis, really being the first magazine to ever bring beautiful pictures, editorials, great information. I guess it's what National Lampoon's was to comedy, basically. You were there for about a decade. Why do you think High Times have survived all this time to stay as important in the industry as it has?
Hi, guys. Yeah, it's been, High Times has been around since 1974. There's such tremendous staying power with a brand that really started it all. And it all comes down to the love of the plant and really respecting this gorgeous female plant. You mentioned Playboy, and how sexy that is, and High Times really has that. I believe that same staying power. We have, or High Times has, the High Times centerfold. They really respect the plant and put it out there for everybody to see. And yes, we glorify drug use and we glorify the cannabis plant. And this is, the message that has been the same since the beginning. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What I thought was cool is something that you did is you also brought in the cannabis column, right? You also brought in things that talked about not just the fact that we're glorifying the plant, right? But also the business opportunities, the business aspects of it, the legalization, the editorials, not just, again, that we're talking about a product that's just about glorifying a plant, but really what's going behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, cannabis is now business. And before, there was the illicit market, the legacy market. And what I saw happening during my tenure there at High Times was that this was a real business that was coming. And the first thing that I started was the pot job report, right? The fact that you could now have a job in the cannabis industry. Right. And this was a report of, the
Every
first
kid's
of
dream.
its kind. And I relied on data from New Frontier Research and seeing where the market was going. And I saw that, some people prefer edibles and the edible market was going to take off. So what could I do to kind of like look into my magic 8-ball and, see what was coming? So in that pot job report, I would write, if you're a chef, you can start creating edibles. If you love to bake, think about new recipes. And so it's like, you can take any skill that you have and transfer it to the cannabis industry. We have a need for marketing. We have a need for press and media and writers. And, what about doctors and nurses? I mean, with the birth of an industry, we need everybody. But I remember writing those first job reports, like there weren't jobs available. Right. It wasn't an industry yet. And so then, we started thinking about cannabis business and I was like, oh, cannabis business. We're going to make that a word. So I started the first cannabis column. And, at High Times, I set the style guide, like bong water, one word or two. Very important decisions.
Right,
and,
of course.
Trust me, after some arguments, they are.
Right. So, I mean, it's a great time to be alive now. It was an even better time, back then, because what we were getting to do was, a lot of people say, oh, you never want to be the first out, right? You never want to be the first one out of the gate. But High Times was the first one out of the gate, right? And so with that, we had so many, we were the first to do that. We were the first to do this. And luckily enough, I, got to be one of the first to do a lot of those things.
One of the things that you were definitely first in, which I think is amazing, is getting onto Sirius XM called Reefer Radio. I mean, you got to tell me how that happened, because you're talking about everybody's watching and everyone's listening to Sirius XM. I mean, still do, of course, huge. Howard's on there, everything else. But at the time, there wasn't podcasts from all over. This was really the publication where everybody was going to through a radio and commercial free to get their word out there. And I mean, you had, Snoop Dogg on, Tommy Chong, Jet Black, but how did you get interested on hosting it, first of all? And how did you pitch it to XM? I mean, of course it's cannabis, a dirty word as usual. How did that all come up?
Well, I am a avid music fan. I've seen 225 Fish shows. I've seen 200 No shows. If there's a music festival, I've been there. And, when blogs were just starting, I had the first blog on relics.com. And you can follow me on NYC Jam Gal on Twitter. And that's kind of like, I kind of feel like I'm the crossroads or the cross section of, the jam band scene and cannabis media, right? So my friend Ari at Pinkerton over at SiriusXM, he was programming the Jam On channel. So I would go on, and I think one year we hosted the Bonnaroo Breakdown, which was, reporting, from Bonnaroo or, talking about what's going on there. And that kind of segued into when, High Times is monthly. Every May we would do the strain report. So, Ghost Train Haze comes out. That's Scott Reach over at Rare Dankness. And, this is one of the first strains that's hitting over 30% THC. And Danny Danko, Nico Escondido, and I are all saying, there's no way, right, that THC can go over,
right. That's crazy. 30%. Of course.
The trichome head bursts at 27%. There's no way. But as we found, it was possible, right? So the more research we have about the plant, anyways.
Of course.
So, Ari reached out to me, and I was doing these reports, and it wasn't long after that we caught the ears of a guy named Rory Belkin, who actually does the kids channels.
Funny. Well,
gotta get them early.
Gotta get them early, right?
And so that was even like more taboo, I thought, because at the very highest, hierarchy of SXM, they're very conservative, and we wanted to do like a test run. So Rory came to me and said, we'll do a 4-show, kind of trial run. We're going to pitch it as, channel 420. Like, does your dial go that high? And it was great. I mean, High Times has an archive of everyone. And it was just really great to pull some of those, old interviews and run some new ones and, start creating what we felt could be, the first of its kind.
Were they hesitant about it though? I mean, were they kind of like, I don't know. I mean, just even now to this day about advertising and things we talk about, and it's crazy, right? I mean, how they still want to silence, obviously we have Cannabis Radio, we have all these podcasts, we have all this stuff that we talk about, a lot more publications of cannabis, but being the first, anybody that really stuck out under your, you did an interview and it was either crazy or just the fact of like, wow, I can't believe they're on the show, or something special that happened that you could remember on that?
Right. Oh, well, I mean, I remember we were, it was very tame though. That's the thing, because we had to keep it like, we couldn't go like balls out,
Right. Okay. Okay.
Really, we were treading lightly.
Super censored.
Yeah. So, I was doing like characters. I was doing like Wendy Wiedekit, where I would put on this voice and I would say, "Hey, I'm Wendy Wiedekit, and we're gonna teach you weed etiquette, like pass your bowl to the left hand side, or don't mow the bowl, and get all the greens." So we were the ones creating the content, really. And
nice.
It was great because we got to be creative. But I remember then 2 people from the station, Christina Palumbo, who was a huge champion of our work, and she went to the Oregon State Fair, I think it was, or the Colorado State. It was something.
I think it was the
they
Denver
were going to
one.
have like. Yeah, and I'm not even sure if they had weed there. I mean, this is what I'm saying. We were still so ahead of our time.
Well, you had Snoop Dogg on, so you know there was weed somewhere, right? I mean, he makes it a thing where
plenty of weed. Yeah, you're vaping like under the desk, and you're trying to be cool.
They see all the smoke coming from the bottom, think it's the electricity.
Well,
yeah, you open the door to the studio and you're just kind of like, oh, they know that Snoop's there that day.
I mean, even the new video that he just put out with Eminem, and he talks about how Eminem goes into the studio from such a long time. And he goes, I know I'm back because I'm with Snoop, and the whole studio is filled with smoke. So, no, it just would have been cool. I mean, obviously Tommy Chong, Jet Black, everybody else. It's just, again, it's kind of the funny where very popular people would still not say anything in public about cannabis. And it was the first time to get out there. And I wanted to bring something going back to High Times just for a second. Education and things like that. You're talking about obviously etiquette, smoking, things like that. Is that something that you think that they should have had more about, even in such a view like High Times, where a little more education about, maybe the medical benefits, or not just about the plant and glorifying it, or about the cannabinoids or the content, because there's so many people we have on there like, wish I had something that I would have known how to dose correctly, or what medical benefits it would have helped me. Do you think that would have been something that High Times could have benefited from, or what we're trying to do now, where so many people, there's so much cannabis out there, just not that much education?
Well, I think High Times always led the way in terms of education. We had a quarterly publication that was medical marijuana, and in order to not bore our core readership, month after month with the same education, we were forwarding the education. We were the first ones to put. I remember our cover line meeting. We were putting a borch, if you know what that is. It was a bong and a blowtorch, and it was the first rig for dabs. And I remember sitting in a cover line meeting and saying, what are we going to say about this thing? We're putting, a live flame, it's a torch, and it looks like, we're the crackheads of cannabis. And what are we going to say about this? And I came up with, dabs, the future of pot. And, were we creating an environment where we could educate? Yeah, because, we're telling people how to clean these things.
Right.
With the vape pen reviews, which I led, I would get 100 vape pens, and I would get 30 people to help me test all of these vape pens. And this was, before there was Puffco.
Right.
I remember calling Puffco and calling Roger on the phone and saying, hey, Roger, buckle your seatbelt. And he's like, why? I was like, your life's about to change. He's like, huh? I was like, you just won the vape pen review for High Times, right? Like, we made Puffco into a multi-million-dollar company overnight, right? So you want to talk about education. Roger originally was using, metal in the vape pens, right? And I would have frank conversations with Roger about, when you're burning these things, there's toxins being released. And then we switched to ceramic bowls. So did we really need to be educating, all the time about, why, ceramic is better than, say, a metal nail or a titanium nail, or, heating up at 400 plus degrees, is going to kill your terpene profile. And, we were educating ourselves because we were
trial and error.
Right. Trial and error.
Yeah. We were the ones, directing the industry.
I just think that it's a trusted source of any kind right now, when there's so much information out there, is so important. Like, yes, something as simple as a ceramic, bowl versus a metal bowl or something else. But, the new products that are coming out, or either ways, I mean, all of it is education. All of it's important. And I think it legitimizes what we're doing a little bit more than just saying, oh, we're smoking weed and we're having fun.